The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. Comprehensive summary introduction. Kristin Hannah's The Nightingale is a historical fiction novel set in Nazi-occupied France during World War II. It follows the lives of two sisters, Vianne and Isabelle Rossignol, as they navigate the hardships of war, resistance, and survival. The novel explores themes of love, sacrifice, resilience, and the often overlooked role of women in wartime. The story is framed by a present-day narrative, where an elderly woman recounts her experiences during the war, ultimately revealing which sister has survived. The novel is inspired by real-life accounts of female resistance fighters, most notably Andrée de Jong, a Belgian woman who helped downed Allied pilots escape Nazi-occupied territory. Through the distinct yet intertwined experiences of Vianne and Isabelle, The Nightingale provides an emotionally rich exploration of courage and endurance. Plot summary. Part 1. Prelude to War. The novel opens in 1995, where an elderly woman, living in Oregon, prepares to return to France for a commemoration. As she sorts through old belongings, she finds a trunk filled with wartime mementos, leading to a journey into the past. The identity of this woman remains ambiguous, heightening the novel's suspense. The narrative shifts to 1939, just before the German invasion of France. The Rossignol sisters have been estranged for years. Vianne, the elder sister, lives in Carriveau, a small town in France, with her husband Antoine and their daughter Sophie. She is a cautious woman who clings to her family life, hoping to remain unaffected by political turmoil. Isabelle, younger and rebellious, has been expelled from multiple boarding schools. Having felt abandoned by her sister and father since their mother's death, she longs to prove her worth. As war approaches, Antoine is drafted into the French army, leaving Vianne to manage their home. Meanwhile, Isabelle, living in Paris with their father Julien, refuses to be passive in the face of Nazi occupation. When Paris falls, Julien urges Isabelle to flee to the countryside, sending her to Vianne's home in Carriveau. However, Isabelle is determined to contribute to the war effort and is discontent with Vianne's passive attitude. Part 2. The German occupation. France quickly falls to the Germans, and life under occupation begins. A Nazi officer, Captain Wolfgang Beck, is billeted in Vianne's home, forcing her to endure his presence while trying to protect Sophie. Despite his polite demeanor, Vianne understands the danger of harboring an enemy soldier. Meanwhile, Isabelle becomes involved with the French resistance. She meets Gaëtan, a passionate young man who introduces her to the cause. Isabelle is determined to make a difference, and under the codename The Nightingale, she begins working to help downed Allied pilots escape to Spain via the Pyrenees. Her journey is treacherous, and she narrowly escapes death multiple times. Over time, she gains notoriety among the Nazis, making her a high-priority target. Vianne, initially hesitant to resist, is forced into action when her Jewish best friend, Rachel, is targeted. She helps Rachel's daughter, Ari, by claiming him as her own, preventing him from being deported. This marks Vianne's transition from passive survivor to quiet resistor. She also begins forging identity papers for Jewish children, placing her in grave danger. Part 3. The height of the war. As the war intensifies, Isabelle's missions become increasingly dangerous. She operates a network that smuggles pilots across Nazi territory, saving countless lives. However, her activities come at great personal risk. She is eventually captured after being betrayed by a double agent. She is tortured but refuses to reveal names, showcasing her unwavering courage and resilience. She is ultimately sent to Ravensbrück, a notorious concentration camp, where she endures starvation, brutality, and disease. Despite her suffering, she holds on to hope and continues to resist in any way she can. Vianne, in the meantime, faces new horrors. Captain Beck is replaced by a cruel Nazi, von Richter, who abuses his power, subjecting Vianne to sexual violence. She becomes pregnant as a result, but hides the truth to protect herself and Sophie. As the war drags on, she becomes instrumental in hiding Jewish children and helping the resistance in small but crucial ways, all while maintaining the facade of submission. The sisters remain unaware of each other's struggles, both believing the other to be safe. Their separate journeys highlight the varied experiences of women during the war, one in active rebellion, the other in quiet defiance. Part 4. Liberation and Aftermath. As the Allies advance, Isabelle is finally liberated but is too weak to fully recover. The physical and emotional toll of war has left her fragile. She returns to France where she reunites with Vianne, who has survived but remains deeply scarred by her experiences. Isabelle, though celebrated for her heroism, succumbs to illness and dies shortly after, having lived a life of sacrifice and bravery. Vianne rebuilds her life, raising her children and honoring her sister's legacy. She later discovers that their father, Julian, had been aiding the resistance and sacrificed himself to protect Isabelle. The novel concludes with the revelation that the elderly woman in the present-day timeline is Vianne, who has returned to France to pay tribute to her sister's heroism. Themes and analysis. The strength of women. Both sisters embody different aspects of female resilience, one as a bold resistor and the other as a quiet protector. Their contrasting approaches highlight the various ways in which women contributed to wartime efforts. Sacrifice and courage. Isabelle sacrifices her life for her country, while Vianne risks everything to protect children and resist in her own way. Their different paths show that heroism comes in many forms. Love and family. The strained relationship between the sisters evolves into mutual understanding and deep love, emphasizing the importance of familial bonds in times of crisis. The impact of war. The novel highlights the psychological and physical toll of war, particularly on civilians and women. It emphasizes the devastating impact of occupation, the loss of innocence, and the moral dilemmas faced in times of oppression. Resistance versus compliance. Isabelle's active resistance contrasts sharply with Vianne's initial passivity. However, the novel illustrates that even quiet defiance can be powerful and essential. Conclusion. The Nightingale is a powerful novel that sheds light on the often overlooked role of women in World War II. Through the journeys of Vianne and Isabelle, Kristin Hannah presents a deeply moving story of resilience, heroism, and the enduring power of love. The novel's emotional depth, historical richness, and compelling characters make it a timeless tribute to those who fought, suffered, and survived during one of history's darkest periods.